I'm live. Well, that was easy. Wow, that took quite a while. Jesus God Almighty, that took forever. All right. Yeah, here's a mess. Don't care. Why? Why don't I care? If my hair is a mess, because there are more important things in life than how pretty I am. All right, let's get back to the other uh, TikTok channel, the one that I'm not banned from right this minute, because I'm still banned from my original. I'm banned from the original for until 8:44 p.m. See, when they ban you from TikTok, what they do is they say, "Yo, bro, you can't go back on for X amount of hours. Call it 72, 48, whatever." But that means that whatever time you got kicked off, that's what time you have to wait until to go back on. So, the reason I'm telling you this is because my main channel with 120,000 subs, I'm not allowed to go back on until 8:44, at which point I will jump back on my original channel, which of course is Big and Corn Fed. I'm drinking so much water, it's ridiculous. You know what kind of diet doesn't work? The kind where you're miserable for the entire time. Because what happens is you hit your goal and then you go, oh yeah, I'm going to have that, fill in the blank, cream puff, whatever. And then you have one and it's good. So you have 2 dozen more. So now I'm back on a diet again. And people say to me, man, it's not about a diet, it's about a lifestyle. Fuck you, shut up. God damn, I'm tired of hearing that. I've been hearing that for my entire life. Well over 32 and a half years now. I'm just saying, it's over 32 and a half years. How much over? It's just not a big deal. But my point is this. The human body, I figured this out all by my little lonesome, all alone. The human body is designed to yo-yo up and down in weight. Why is that? Because as mammals that exist on this planet, that go through different seasons, we're used to things like, oh, I don't know, porking up in the fall so that we can survive the winter, just like a fucking bear does. Okay. All right. What's the difference between me and a bear? About right now, about 29 pounds. Average black bear in Arizona weighs about 300 pounds, and I'm at 329. But in my own defense, I did have 6 cups of coffee and a couple of these before I weighed myself. And yesterday when I weighed myself, I was at 320. I know. Svelte, right? Skinny. Emaciated. Invite B-Bob to you to join as a guest. That's what it's telling me that. Now, I will say this. For those of you who are regulars on my other channel, which I'm still banned from until 8:44 p.m. this evening. By the way, thank you for liking the live, because when you like it, it helps the algorithms push it out to more people. And the more people see it, the more people I can save. Ooh, it's pretty heavy, right? I mean, it's like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? This is some heavy shit here. Yes and no. I mean, the way that I look at it is a little different than most, okay? I have a little bit longer view. And the reason I have a little bit longer view is because I've been studying anthropology and archaeology for a long, long time. many, many years, since 1994, which gives away my age because clearly I was not born in 1994. Because if I had been, I wouldn't have been studying anthropology and archaeology since then. So, the oldest archaeological find that indicates that we were building housing for ourselves, that we were intentionally chopping and cutting and measuring and building things to stay in out of the weather, that we weren't just hiding under a rock or hiding in a cave, that we were actually manipulating the environment around us so that we could put ourselves where we wanted to be, was recently found in Africa, and it's 456,000 years old. When I started studying archaeology and anthropology, I was told by the experts, people at Yale, Harvard, Rutgers, wherever, Oxford, that Homo sapiens were 20,000 years old. Okay. Before that, we were Cro-Magnon man. Or if you're French, you pronounce it correctly, which none of us do, and that's Cro-Magnon man. But here's my point. Before that, we were Neanderthals, and we just went from Neanderthal to Cro-Magnon man to what we are now, over the course of the last 60,000 years or so. But 60,000 years ago, humans didn't even exist. There were no Homo sapiens sapiens. Sapien, by the way, is Latin for he who knows. That's right. We're so fucking arrogant, we named ourselves smart twice. Homo sapien sapien. He who knows. He who knows, he knows. Oh, I don't just know. I know that I know. Fuck. Old European farts, man. They are some of the most arrogant bastards ever. Love those old bastards. So anyway, back to the story. Turns out that, well, that was 94. By 96, 97, it was like, oh, no, wait, they're 50, 60,000 years old, Homo sapiens. And then it was 80. Then it was 100, 120. Holy shit. Well, wait a minute. What happened to Cro-Magnon man? Well, it was just, what? Bullying and harassment. What in the hell? Who am I bullying and harassing? I have no idea. Oh my God. TikTok, you've lost your fucking minds, guys. First, you sell nothing but scam silver. And I've been to at least 50 of the websites that the little, as you're flipping through and it says, oh, hey, we've got silver for you guys to buy. And then you go to the homepage and you read it. You might believe it, hopefully not. But when I read it, I go, no, this is absolutely 100% a scam. Nobody sells 999 fine silver in the world for $14 an ounce. That's completely impossible. Right now, it's $89.65 per ounce minimum. Okay? That's the bid. The ask is probably 50 cents higher than that, so about $90. So we're at $90. By the way, I just checked. Shanghai's at $98. And they're saying they're going to sell it for 14. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that smells like bullshit to me. Like, how do you do that? So, and then of course you go to some of these and you read the comments and they go, yeah, I got scammed by this guy, blah, blah, blah. Now, the question I have is, why would TikTok want to destroy their own credibility by selling nothing but silver scams? And I mean, literally, when I say nothing but, I have been to dozens of them, dozens and dozens of these things. Every time one pops up, I go, okay, doink, I push on it. Take me to your homepage. It takes me to the homepage, and it's just some total scam. And it's just extremely obvious that it is absolute fraud. and I'm in the metals business. I have been for a long, long time. So what what do you do here? What's going on, guys? You're trying to destroy your own website. That's what you're doing. You're trying to kill your own platform. And I don't know why, but blocking me for bullying when all I'm saying is that most archaeologists and anthropologists are full of shit. I don't think you can call that bullying and harassment. It's just an opinion. But anyway, bottom line is now I'm screwed because they won't let anybody see my live stream. This is how they punish you if you don't abide by their rules. And boy, do they have a lot of rules nowadays. This is the future, by the way, guys. For those of you who don't know, this is how it works from this point forward. Now, I could, by the way, if I wanted to, I could spend a few $100s and I could have tens of thousands of people come to my TikTok page. But the problem is that it would just be a bunch of people who don't know anything about what I'm doing. They have no idea why they're there, and they're like, "Well, what is this? What's this guy about?" Well, I would rather have people who come specifically because they saw my live stream and said, "Oh yeah, this guy clearly knows what he's talking about. I'm going to go there." Unfortunately, they're making that very, very difficult. Extremely, exceedingly difficult. Wow. $99 and $99.27 if you buy 500 ounces from AppMex. Wow, I am really killing those guys as far as the price. So yeah, I appreciate. I don't. It shows one person on here. I don't know if that's true or not. Hard to tell. But I appreciate you hitting the like button because that will eventually, hopefully, send me out to more algorithms. If you're on YouTube, hi guys, hello, how are you? I don't know if you can share. I don't know how that works. If you share my live stream or how that whole thing works. Share. Let's see. I don't know if I can do that. Huh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to start working on this because I need to really get more people on YouTube because these guys, TikTok is really going completely nuts. I mean, fucking crazy. They're going completely crazy. They're making absolutely sure that if you say anything that could even be misconstrued as antiseptic, you're done. Bye-bye. See you later. All right, let's see what Zero Hedge is saying about yesterday. Obviously, by the way, CME, if you're worried about silver, don't. It's $100. Let's see. Oh, well, that's pretty interesting. Ivermectin, the perfect parasite spring cleanse for your body. Hadn't thought about that, but it actually makes a lot of sense. Let's see. Wow, it's crazy. I guess is my 10 minutes up? Because I see that other people are starting to come here, so that's good. That's a good thing. Although my counter says that there's only one person on here, and that's really crazy. I just don't get that. Okay, so one person. There's one person on here. That's nuts. They're not going to allow me. It says I have a popular live. Get featured. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to get featured. Okay, feature me. Do it. Yeah, get support. All right. I don't know what I just hit, but hopefully it helps because it's absolutely insane how bad Tic-Tac is trying to kill me now. U.S. tariff rates hit 15% or more for some nations under new strategy or more. No, not or more. He's only allowed to go, I thought 10%, but apparently he's allowed to go 15% on tariffs, but only for 150 days. And then he has to chill the frick out because apparently only Congress can kick your ass with tariffs. And they're not feeling it right now. Oh man, I got to tell you, I am not digging this. I am not digging this bar stool. This is supposed to be a heavy duty bar stool for like out in your shop, and the padding's good, but the whole thing over time, it's giving up the ghost. And I get it. These things aren't designed to hold a big fat ass. It's 320 pounds. Nothing is. Invite Gabby Berger to co-host now. It's a great name, Gabby Berger. Sounds like a pretty good place to grab a lunch, right? Gabby Burger. It's got caffeine in the burger, makes you Gabby. Bohemian Grove membership list leaked. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. That's always good. Whenever Tic-Tac not showing you as live, of course they're not. That's because I'm on my Big and Corn Fed actual channel, which is my backup channel, which I've never really used before, but I'm going to have to start using it now because, well, look at what they're doing to me. They're just trying to kill me. And by the way, Gavin Newsom is a man of the people. I didn't know that. I know he's not gay. He's not gay. Just so we're clear. But apparently he's can't find you live on TikTok. No, I know. That's because they're hiding me. Actually, I'm still restricted until 8:44 p.m. So which is a little over an hour from now on my normal channel. So I had to go to Big and Corn Fed Actual, and they've already restricted that one too because apparently they think I'm bullying somebody. I just talking about archaeology in general, but whatever. So Gavin Newsom is a man of the people, and I didn't know this, but he apparently said something about the fact that he totally understands what it's like to be black because he can't read either. Now, I don't know. I mean, woo! Is that a compliment? Is that because I'm not sure I would have said it like that. I mean, other than insulting all black people's intelligence, if that's what he said, if he really said that he can empathize with these guys because he can't read very well either. That's nuts. That's really crazy because that's like where do you go with that one? It's like, oh yeah, I know what you guys are like. I mean, hey, I've had fried chicken. Oh, so you literally boiled down an entire huge group of people, 12% of the population, which is about 30 million people, 35, 40 million. You boiled it down to they can't read. Well, good luck with that, because I used to live in LA, and I can tell you it's not like Idaho. There's a lot of black people in LA, a lot. So good luck with that, because LA is California. The Los Angeles Metroplex area from Santa Barbara to San Diego is California. San Francisco is just a ugly little like protrusion in the northern hemisphere. Sacramento, well, it's California's sphincter, which I think can be said for all state and federal capitals. I think whenever you get a place where you get a bunch of attorneys and a bunch of politicians, which are usually attorneys, together, it just infects the entire place and it makes it so that it just smells of corruption and dishonesty and disingenuous intentions. Look, I don't have anything against politicians or lawyers. I mean, I think that the world would be better off if there were, like, I don't know, some kind of illness that only infected them. AI won't be able to do that. That's sad because I know that AI can make all kinds of infections that are very specific to groups of people. If you wanted to only go after Asians and their haplogroup or whatever, you design a virus 20 years ago to do that. That's not a problem. But imagining a virus that would infect all attorneys. I don't know. I just makes me feel warm and fuzzy. It makes me strangely happy to imagine that. And, look, I don't necessarily want to cause like a calamity, catastrophe kind of a thing. Maybe we could just infect them so that it just disconnects their ability to lie, which of course might make a lot of them mute because it's all they do is lie. They don't know how to do anything else. So if you disconnect their lie button, they may actually just never make a noise again, which is fine. That's fine with me. But yeah, lawyers are just about the worst thing that's ever happened to humanity. It's a good thing that there's no cross contamination between attorneys and the people who own our country in the Middle East. Because God, can you imagine that? Like that would be the worst. Because then if you even brought up some of their horrific crimes, they'd sue you into bankruptcy. And after spending 100 years convincing everybody that the only thing that matters is money, that's actually a really big thing nowadays. There was a time, I think, in the United States where if you threatened to sue somebody, they wouldn't care if they were doing what they thought was right. Huh. I guess Jimmy's famous seafood goes viral again, tells local paper to go fuck yourself. Let's see, quote, Tic Tac, you don't have to. Well, if you were looking on YouTube, you could have found my live immediately. But for some reason, some of you are stubbornly trying to stick with Tic Tac, even though they're lying to you and manipulating you and censoring all of us to the point that is almost comical. It really is. Hey, what's this? Buy a silver eagle under spot. Now, this is on YouTube, so I know that this is actually true. Because I know that Money Metals is a real place, and, well, they're only going to sell you one under spot by like $1. And then the rest are, $10 over spot. So, I mean, it's a true statement, though. It says buy a silver eagle under spot. Okay. A rare chance to own a silver eagle below spot. Right. So if you buy a bunch of silver eagles for $10 over spot, they'll give you one under spot. That's legit. That's called a loss leader. It happens. But on here, every single silver ad I've seen was a scam. Everyone without any exceptions. Invite Mackenzie and Malia to join as guests. I don't think I've ever known an ugly girl named Mackenzie. So she's probably hot. I don't think I've ever known a girl named Malia, period. So that one's going to be up in the air. Don't know. Don't care. Not doing a live stream with them. Why wouldn't you do a live stream with them, you misogynist son of a bitch? That's not why. It's not because I'm misogynist. It's because Mackenzie and Malia probably are not experts in precious metals. Diana Seneca, 68. Diana. With two N's, by the way it's supposed to be spelled. My ex-wife's name is Diana. But I know that you are probably not the spawn of Satan. I'm not saying she is. I'm intimating it. I'm alluding to it, but I'm not saying it out loud. And here's the funny thing. I'm watching, let's see, I like the VW bus painting. Me too. I almost went and lived in a Volkswagen bus. Update on your books. Oh, you know that I've got two. So you were watching last night. Good. I've changed my mind about something. I started off, man, I should read you guys a little bit, but at the same time, how many people are on my YouTube live stream? And the problem is there's nobody on here. This counter says I've got 4 people watching. Now, do I have 400 people watching? I don't know. This counter said nobody watched yesterday. It said 0 the entire time. I have no idea what that means, but I know that if I just wait for 50 minutes and then do it, hundreds of people will be able to hear it. And I would like to tell you guys, I'd like to read a little bit of the beginning of the book. I like it. I like the beginning of my book. However, I don't like the book. Sounds crazy, right? Well, in a sense, it is. And here's why. I like what I've written. I like the flow. I like the characters. I like everything about it, except that it's taken me off track. I'm getting off track here. I don't want to get off track. I want to stick to this is what you need to do. Now, my publisher and my writer, he's a helper. He doesn't write anything. He just basically tells me how to format and whatnot. And then he listens and says, okay, that's great. But they said, you're probably going to want about 40,000 words. And I said, okay, 40,000 words. They said, that's the average book. And I went, oh, okay. They said, you're going to want 12, 13 chapters. I went, 12 to 13 chapters. Okay. We roughed out some ideas for chapters, and some of them, some of the ideas were actually pretty good. Why the collapse is inevitable. That's chapter 1. The mindset and the mental resilience you're going to need. That's chapter 2. Food security, sustainable nutrition is 4. 5 is energy independence. I don't see how, you could have a whole chapter there. That's going to be tough. Medical and first aid mastery, that is very important because there's nothing worse than something stupid, stepping on a nail, brushing up against a piece of broken glass, and you go, oh shit. You look at it and it's like, God damn it. Well, it's not that deep. Just leave it. We'll clean it out later. And then the next thing you know, you're septic. And that shit happens really fast. I have a scar back here somewhere in the back of my arm. Yeah, it's on this elbow. And I think it's up here now. But I almost lost my arm in the Marine Corps because of gangrene. Now, it didn't get gangrenous, but it got to a point where it was called, shit, what was it called? They said that I had something itis. And basically the skin all the way up this part of my arm was underneath the skin was starting to go nasty. And they had to clean it out, and it was pretty gross. So, one new message. Oh, that's weird. It just said one new message, and there's no new message. Okay. So my point is that that this small thing, a cut, can turn into something really nasty if you ignore it. And so medical and first aid mastery is super important. Security and personal defense. I think that security and personal defense are two separate chapters, perhaps, because security is different for everybody. As I've said before, when it comes to women, it's security through obscurity. If you are alone or if you are with children, your only chance at survival is to stay quiet, stay low, don't go out during the day, be extremely aware of your surroundings. Don't ever cook anything, because that scent will carry on the wind for literally miles. And if you think that a bear or that a dog has a great sense of smell, you would be shocked at how good a human being's sense of smell is when they haven't eaten in 7 days. It's amazingly good, and their instincts are good. So, communication and information gathering. I'm a big believer in having a shortwave radio, just one of those little Baofeng versions. You can get 2 of them for $50. Just bought some the other day. So I think that is a huge deal. Transportation and mobility. If you have a car that's older than about a 1970, 75, 74, 73, somewhere in there, you're going to have an old points system distributor, and you are going to do just fine. Thank you, by the way, for the likes. The likes really help. You're going to do okay. You want an old car with a distributor that's got points in it, because the points, unless they're rotated this way, and then they'll fry. But and chances are they won't be. But when they're sitting like this, what happens is when you crank the car over and the points pass each other, that sends a spark down into the spark plugs and fires up your car. So when they're like this, and then the solar flare hits, or the EMP or whatever it is, there's a very good chance that because it's encased in steel, they're not going to get enough juice to arc and fry each other. Okay, so if that's the case, pretty much any old vehicle will fire right up after an EMP or a solar flare. If, however, cellulitis, thank you, C. Smith, that's exactly what I had, cellulitis, and it was terrible. I watched a guy take one of those long Q-tips, and he slid it under my skin, and it went way up there, and I had these red and white stripes up and down my arm. And they were talking about how they might have to take my arm, and I was like, take my arm? What the fuck are they talking about? It was in a tent, by the way, so it's not like I couldn't hear through the canvas. when the doctor came back in, I was like, Doc, you got to understand something. If you take my arm, you may as well just kill me. I mean, I I need my arms. And he said, well, don't worry about it. We caught it early and the chances are not that great. It's like, not that great. No. What you want to hear is zero chance of having your arm cut off because you got in trouble. And that's what happened. I'm not terribly proud of this, but I cut my arm because I was getting in a brawl with another Marine and I went to punch him. And when I reached back, I hit a very sharp aluminum windowsill and split my arm open, which hurt. And I remember shaking my arm and going, God damn it. And then it made me even madder. So once I was done pounding this guy, who deserved it, by the way, totally deserved it, I went in the bathroom and I looked at my arm and I was like, I don't see anything. So I turned to the guy next to me and I said, do you see anything? And I went like that. And of course, it opened wide open and blood went everywhere. And he went, oh my God, dude. And I thought, that's not a good reaction. That's not a reaction I want to see. So, yep, NASA. That's right. I just want you to know that if there's anybody I trust, it's NASA. They would never lie to us. Because, they're scientists. You got to trust the science, man. That's why when it comes to Charlie Kirk, he was shot in the neck with a 155 millimeter howitzer. Turns out it was a HE round. But because he's Superman and he had the spirit of Christ in him, the round didn't go off. And it didn't even break his neck. Yeah, because I believe that after all those years in the Marine Corps, after being on the Marine Corps rifle team, I can't imagine a 30-06 actually going through somebody's throat. I actually got shot with a 30-06 here once, and then I go in here. I think it was over on this side. I took a couple of them at the same time one day. Yeah, it sucks, but you just roll on, just go. Just got to do what you got to do, man. You pluck them out, get some tweezers, have a friend do it if you don't have a mirror. They're just 30-06s, 2,300 feet a second. My mom moves faster than that. 6,000 pound-feet of energy. So, pussy. Anyway. Charlie Kirk shot himself. That's obvious. And Epstein, well, I think we all know what happened there. Especially after seeing Ghislaine Maxwell in Canada. Did you guys see that video? Woo! Man. I was shocked. I thought it was AI at first because it was just a picture. And then I watched the video and I was like, that's not AI. That's a video. This guy walking by and saying, hey, excuse me. She said, yeah. He said, Ghislaine? She turned around and looked and she said, no. And I was like, oh, you turned around and looked at the camera. Wow. I mean, maybe it wasn't Ghislaine Maxwell, but when they did the photographic comparison, point for point, whether it was eye spacing or the way her lips are, the way the corners of her eyes are, the width of her nose, the shape of her nostrils, her teeth, everything matched up perfectly. And then you see this fat old woman that's in jail that's supposed to be Ghislaine Maxwell, and you're like, come on. Now, here's the funny part is normally I'd go, okay, well, wait a minute. How do you know? I mean, it's the odds of it being Ghislaine are zero. And then they actually showed a picture of Ghislaine's brother and the guy this Canadian woman was walking with. And you go, That's the same dude. So you've got a guy who looks exactly like Ghislaine Maxwell's 70, 75-year-old brother. And then standing next to him, you have a woman, who looks exactly like Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't know. I mean, personally, if it were me, and just for the record, I'm not a Mossad agent. And also for the record, I have never knowingly worked for the Mossad. However, having said that, my father did work for the CIA, and he did work at the Neuropsychiatric Institute at UCLA. He worked for a guy named Jolly West, who was, in fact, my doctor, my psychiatrist when I was a kid. Because apparently, when I was a kid, they had these special programs for what we called in LA school system. They didn't call it the GATE program. They called it the Mentally Gifted Minors, the MGM program. And so if you were a child prodigy genius type, they tested you. I don't know if all the kids got tested at UCLA, or if it just happened to be a coinky dink that my dad worked for a guy who did a lot of testing on a lot of young people. But my dad had me tested there. I actually have the letter. Yeah, I think I actually have the letter on my dining room table. Obviously, it's inside of something fire safe because I want to keep it. But yeah, it just says that it talks about my IQ and how at 9, as far as they could tell, my IQ was 136, but that they didn't that they thought it could be substantially higher because they couldn't make me sit still long enough to finish the test. So just based on what I had done thus far, they estimated my IQ was at least 136 at 9. So I don't think your IQ goes up as you get older. I think you learn more. You process more information, or you get better at paying attention. I mean, I was so incredibly hyper, and they couldn't know this at the time because back then it wasn't child abuse per se. It was discipline, and I needed a lot of discipline. So my dad's form of discipline, like a lot of kids back then, was to just beat the holy hell out of me whenever I did anything that, well, not just when I did something wrong, but when he suspected that I might have done something wrong. And I remember distinctly at about the age of 8, he actually once beat my ass and then told me that it was, if not for what he thought I had done, for something that I had done that he hadn't caught me for, but that I deserved it either way. So, woo, yeah, that's some crazy shit. And when people ask me, they're like, "So you've never ever spanked your kids ever?" Nope, never. Because I remember, like it was yesterday, exactly what that was like. I remember. I mean, that's the thing about, when people don't understand, when you've got an IQ that high, it's not that you get these visions from God of the perfect world and how to make it. No, it's just a matter of being able to remember certain things that most people don't remember. And so, to give you an example, they were doing a study. I don't know. I'm not sure that I ever knew the name of the university, but there was a group doing a study on memory. They were actually doing the study on September 12th, 2001. And what they were going to do was have people come in and write down some of the memories of that day. And then they were going to ask them a year later what they had done that day after writing down what they had done the previous day. Well, of course, the previous day turned out to be pretty historical, 9/11. So it was actually perfect because we all know that when you have a traumatic memory like that, it is seared into your brain. Like every old fart boomer knows exactly what they were doing when Kennedy was killed. If they were over about the age of 5 or 6, they remember exactly where they were, what they were wearing, what their teacher said, if they were at home, why, everything, what they had for lunch that day. Now, they couldn't tell you to save their fucking life what they did the day before or the day after. But when they found out Kennedy was killed, they know exactly what they were doing. So they had these people write down what they saw, what they heard, what they experienced on 9/11, the day before. And then 1 year later, they had these people come back and write exactly what it was that they experienced, that they saw, that they heard, etc., on 9/11, 366 days prior. When they were shown what they had written the day after 9/11, most of them did not believe that they'd written it. They said, "Nope, that's not my writing." It's like, "No, that's definitely your writing." They were like, "Maybe it's my writing, but I didn't say that. That's not what happened." That's how bad most people's memory is. They literally argued with the researchers and said, "If that is my writing, that's not what I wrote. Because I remember clearly that this is what happened." And then they would show what they had just written, which was completely wrong, completely different. That's after 1 year. 1 single year, and their memories were that fucked. What happens after 5 or 10? Which is why when people say, "Oh, yeah, I saw it happen. I'm an eyewitness." Oh, you are you? And that's the only thing that I think might set people with a high IQ apart from people with a really low IQ, is that I remember things really, really clearly. And when I go back and fact check them, they're almost always exactly right. I make mistakes like everybody. I get things wrong, percentages, etc. But usually they're percentages from 25 years ago that have to do with something that I wasn't terribly interested in anyway, but I talked about it and yeah, all right. So I got it a little off, It was 23.6 instead of 23.8. I don't know why I thought 23.8. Something along those lines. But it's never as bad as most people's memory, which is sad because it makes you wonder, okay, if your memory is as bad as we think everybody's memory is, what's real? What was your childhood like? What really happened? I mean, do you really know who you are? Do you really know what happened to you? Hard to say. But, from my own experience, I can tell you this, that at 14, my stepson was begging me to come live with me after I had separated from his mom because she was overbearing and drank a lot and threatened to kick his ass. And she was very aggressive and very violent Usually not physically. She would hit him once in a while, but I know that sounds dismissive, but after my childhood, it does getting slapped around once in a while is not a big deal, especially if it's by your mom because you said something snotty as opposed to your 6'4" Navy SEAL dad who beat the shit out of you for 20 minutes, big difference. So but he did want to come live with me. I took him flying for the first time, showed him how to fly an airplane, took him to karate lessons for a year, took him to Boy Scouts, took him to his swimming lessons so that he could learn to swim, on and on and on and on. His mom didn't want him to know how to use a toaster. I know that sounds crazy. She didn't want him to know how to use a toaster or cook for himself. He literally couldn't make top ramen because she wanted to do everything for him because she wanted him to need her. And my point was, hey, brother, you're 14 now. You're a smart kid. You're a big boy. Now, when I met him, he was a mess. He wanted to play with some cats one day, and he was kind of chasing them around. And when they ran under my bed, he went and got an entire can of hairspray and emptied it underneath my bed to force the cats to come out because he didn't like the fact that they didn't want to play. He was kind of a messed up kid. So I did everything I could. Turns out, by the time he was 15, when his father popped back into his life for the first time since he was 3 months old, it was unsettling. And he called me and said, hey, my dad wants me to come out to California to meet him. Can you go with me? And I said, yeah, of course. No problem. At that point, he was living with his mom again. And because she wouldn't let him stay with me for too long because she didn't like the fact that he was starting to grow a little independent. So I said, yeah, of course, I'll go out there with you. And then he mentioned to his mom that one of the things his dad wanted to talk to him about was that he had cancer, and he wasn't sure if it was going to be terminal or not, but that he had a very large life insurance policy that he wanted to leave for the boy. And of course, upon hearing that, my ex-wife said, no, I'm taking him out there. And I said, yeah, the last time you saw him, he threatened to cut your head off and bury you in the desert. And she said, I understand, but it'll be different this time. It was not different at all. And so there was a huge amount of drama that I heard about on the phone. But here's my point. By the time we got divorced, and by the time he got to his university, and by the time he decided that he was very, very liberal and very woke, and then, of course, very bisexual, and then maybe gay, but he's not sure yet. But, lots of piercings, et cetera, et cetera. By the point that he's at now, if you ask him, he would probably tell you that I am the worst person on earth. Pretty strange after all of that. But my point is that I'm not sure if that is a defense mechanism or if he really doesn't remember all the stuff we did together. He'd never gone camping till I took him camping. He'd never done all this stuff, and we had fun. But unfortunately, I'm not paying for his college education. I'm not paying his rent. His mom is. Therefore, his mom is awesome. And yeah, she threatened to punch him in the face every few nights when she'd get drunk, but that's not a big deal. Wow. The DOJ secretly destroyed Epstein files directly linked to Trump. I really hope that's not true. I really, really hope that's not true. I got to tell you, man, something's up. This whole war with Iran, is this the ultimate distraction? Is that what we're doing here? Because I know that, it's obvious, like, if you do the homework, clearly we're going to war with Iran because we've been told to by our bosses. And that's just the way it is. I mean, clearly that's what they want, so that's what we're going to do, because there's one thing that we've learned in spades, and that is you don't say no to that little country in the Middle East. Nobody says no to them, period. So we're about to go invade a country of 90 million people that's 6.5 times the size of Iraq, that has an enormous amount of weapons, and we're about to lose some of our absolute bravest, best people. We're about to have an absolute maddening shit show. And there are literally 20% of the people in the United States that are for this, and an overwhelming majority, 80% of the people don't want this. So if they do it anyway, then that means that they have zero interest in a republic or a democracy. This is just this at this point, they're an oligarchy, and they're being told what to do by the rich people who also happen to be in a different country. That's it. Wow. This is crazy. The EPA to reform $5 billion clean bus program. 2.7 billion has already been dispersed, 90% of which went to electric buses. Hey, you know what? I don't care. That's okay with me. Seems like every 30 years there's a war. Jay, are you fucking kidding me? We just left Afghanistan. We just finally left Iraq and Syria. I think we're still in Syria. We have boots on the ground, literally firing downrange in anger in like 9 different countries right now. The United States has been at war every single year that it has existed, except for 7. 243 years of war, 7 years of peace. Period. So I don't know about your estimate of every 30 years. It's more like every 30 weeks, if that. Even that's a little bit over the top. Nude photos, videotapes, and sex slave manuals. Epstein rushed evidence into secret storage unit before raid. U.S. authorities have long suspected that Epstein was tipped off. Oh, really? You think? My God. That's just nuts. Absolutely crazy. God. Let's see. Bond flows are at odds. Falling inflation. Falling inflation. Okay, yeah. I guess I could buy that for now. By the way, if your olive oil doesn't burn your throat when you drink it, it's not real olive oil. Either that or it's really rancid and old. It should taste like somebody put black pepper in it. And that's how you know that it's real and that it's fresh. And by the way, if you drink a couple ounces of that a day, it's absolutely insane what it'll do for your health. No joke. Not bullshit. I hear a lot. I study all the time. And I hear all kinds of things that sound fantastic. but a lot of them are bullshit. So I do my homework. When I hear something that actually does sound good to me, I go, okay, let's do some homework on it. And yeah, olive oil is incredibly good for you. But all of the major brands that you think are fantastic, that are $20 for a big bottle of it, they're garbage. They are absolute garbage. And they don't have expiration dates on them because they're already rancid. If you drink it and it tastes like nothing, that's not olive oil. If it has a really strong, pungent smell and it burns your throat when you swallow it, that's real olive oil. And that has some insane cancer fighting agents in it. And by the way, it also makes your skin amazing. And you don't have to rub it all over your skin. Although you can, it's very good for you. But just drinking it every day. There were times when, in the old days, when Italian men would go out with their flock and they would take whatever water they could take with them, but they would take a huge Bota bag full of olive oil and they would drink that throughout the day as well. So they would drink water and olive oil together. And they lived to be over 100 years old when there was no medical system whatsoever. Go figure. Interesting, right? Hey, I've actually got 10 people in this live stream now. That doesn't make sense, though, because the reality is I'm seeing all these new names popping up, and it's staying at 10, 11. It doesn't make any sense. 10 Cuban nationals aboard U.S.-linked speedboat intended armed infiltration for terrorist purposes, Cuba claims. Oh, I see what they're saying. They're saying that 10 Cuban nationals on their way back to Cuba. Okay, well, that's sad. That's just another country we have to destabilize and destroy just because. Okay, record underweight, massive short. Fusion power. Wow. There's a lot going on in the world, folks, and some of it's a lot more important than what we're talking about. That's something I think I want to look that up. What are the defaults? Let's do this. Default rates. Consumer car loan consumer car delinquencies 30 days plus reached roughly 3.6 to 3.88 by late 2025, marking the highest levels in over a decade. 90-day delinquencies hit 5%. 90-day delinquencies are higher than 30-day delinquencies, folks. Jesus Christ. A 15-year high for delinquencies of 30 days. Wow. Approaching the peak of 2010 during the great financial crisis. We are now approaching that because, oh shit, we're at 5%. The worst it got during the great financial crisis was 5.3. We're there. I think what I get what you're asking me, but I think what they do is if you're only 30 days late, that's like, okay, you're only 30. If you're 90, then they take you off the 30-day late and they move you to 60. Then from 60, they move you to 90. But here's the key. If you're 30 days late, between 30 and 60, that is a fairly low risk area. And the reason is if you're 30 over, that means that you're a month behind. You're probably had an emergency or something, and now it's time for you to do whatever you need to do to catch up. Once you go over 60, that's when people start to really do the math and think maybe I should let this car go. Once you hit 90, done. Done. People who go after their car after they're 90 days late, that's 3 payments. The average payment in the United States right now is $800. So you're talking about $2,400. The average family in the United States can't come up with $750 for a medical emergency, let alone a fucking car. Now, the last thing you let go of is your house because you have to have a place to live. You can ride the bus to work. I'm just telling you what people think. But once you've defaulted on your car, the next thing to go is your house. Okay, so let's see. Serious delinquencies, percentage of autos. Okay, subprime auto loan defaults increased by 2.3% in a single month. Shit, guys. Wow. Regional differences. Southern states have the highest delinquency rates, with Mississippi at 9.8%. That's 1 out of 10 cars, guys. Louisiana at 8.4 and Georgia at 7.8. Wow. That's a lot. Okay, well, now this is the one that's going to break the economy. Default rate consumer home loans. Serious delinquency rates 3 months plus past due are hovering around 0.6% for agency loans, with total mortgage delinquencies for banks at roughly 1.78%. Okay, so that's relatively low, although it's going up. Okay. Let's see. Total delinquency rate, regional differences, higher rates in Louisiana and Mississippi again, lower rates in California and Colorado, rich states. Oh boy. Historical comparison. Current delinquency rates are far below the peak of over 11% in 2010. So right now we're at less than 2%, and we hit a peak of 10% during the Great Financial Crisis. So in that sense, not so bad. Not too bad. Let's see. Delinquency rate on single family residential mortgages. Yeah, wow. It really, really got high. I'm looking at the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, the Fred. Fred's one of my favorite websites to go to because, look, if you want to argue with me, go ahead. You want to argue with the Federal Reserve Bank, who tracks these numbers every single day, well, go ahead, but it's kind of stupid. All right, let's see. Banking, delinquencies, delinquency rates. Yeah, right now it's about where it was in 2006, fourth quarter of 2006. It was below 2%. And by beginning of 2007, it was 2.8. And by beginning of 2008, it was 3.6. Yeah. So it just took off. I know you like the NASA t-shirt because, trust the science. Like, how could you not trust the science, right? So yeah, we're in a situation where delinquencies are not nearly as bad as they were during the worst time since the Depression, but But having said that, they are starting to go up again. And again, where do you look? I'll give you an example. PPI, um, Producer Price Index, PPI, boom. Tell me what they said. Okay, what do we got here? PPI program, help me out. Come on, tell me what it said today, or is that tomorrow? No, today's Thursday. It should be today, right? Bureau of Labor Statistics. Okay, so the CPI is Consumer Price Index, or the CPI, which we call it. The Producer Price Index, it measures something different. Okay, Consumer Price, it's yeah, it's true. The PPI is like having a crystal ball. Okay, Consumer Price Index is how much something costs a consumer right now. Now they change it every few months in order to lie to you and make the economy seem better than it is. That's just a fact. If you ask any Democrat, they'll tell you that all Republicans have lied for years, going all the way back to Reagan. If you ask any Republican, they'll tell you that those fucking Democrats never tell the truth about the CPI and they manipulate it constantly. And both are correct in this case. All of the CPI numbers are manipulated. I'll give you an example. In a lot of cases, they'll take out little things like Consumer Price Index. So that means what as a consumer, what do I have to pay for a product, right? Well, they put all the products that are important except for food, fuel, rent. Sometimes they'll leave out used car prices. Wait, food and fuel? Well, what the fuck else matters except for rent? Oh, we leave that out too. Then how can the Consumer Price Index mean anything? Well, what you paid for a couch. I bought a couch 4 years ago. I don't need a fucking couch. Well, good, because the couches went up. What? This is literally what our government does to lie to us, to make us think that everything's better than it is, so that we don't start to get pissed off at them. We look inside and we go, okay, what's wrong with me? Why is it that everybody else, all the fucking Real Housewives of Atlanta, who are a bunch of uneducated, horrible human beings, seem to have such amazing lives, even though they're a bunch of vacuous bitches? Why do they get all that shit? I work my ass off. I have 2 jobs and I can't make ends meet. Well, no, that's not real. None of what you're seeing is real. It's all bullshit. It's all made up. And it's all made for one reason. And this is the truth. It's all designed to make you feel responsible for how hard your life is. That's it. It's that simple. It's all designed to make you feel bad about yourself. Wow. Well, thank you. So here's my point. The Producer Price Index is different than the Consumer Price Index, because the Producer Price Index is what companies pay in order to make the products that you're now going to have to pay more for in, say, 6 months when they arrive. So it's actually even more important, because it's like having a crystal ball. Are things going to get cheaper or more expensive? Well, I don't know. Look at the PPI. That's what we do. And black. Oh. There is no evidence or proof. Overwhelming evidence. We landed 6 times. Is that where you went with that? I'm explaining to you what's going on with the economy, and you're talking about whether or not we went to the moon. Hang on, I'm going to yell at my dogs. Hey, really? Really? Shh. Shush. Hey. Huh. What do they bark at? I don't know. The scenery never changes. Nothing ever happens. It's a quiet backyard. So it makes you wonder, like, do they just all get a wild hair up their ass and start barking? Because they'll do that for an hour if I let them. Oh, following on the PPI. You know what's interesting is I'm looking at the price of gold right now, or silver right now, and we are bouncing off of 90 again. They're really trying hard to break it down. Not gonna work. Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture. I said no new taxes, but what I meant was no new taxes. And let's see, delinquencies on loans and leases at commercial banks. Oh, wait a minute. Delinquency rate on single family residence mortgages booked in domestic offices, all commercial banks. You have to be very, very careful when you're dealing with the Fed because they will say things in a certain way. And if you don't understand why they said it in a certain way, you may not catch the fact that they're not answering the question you asked. Mortgage debt service payments as a percentage of disposable personal income. Oh, shit. I missed one. Delinquency on credit card loans. Boom. What do we got? Show me, Freddie. Ooh, okay. That's fucking brutal. Wow. We dipped down to 1.5%, 1.53% in 2021. We are now all the way up to 3%. Wow, that is a huge deal. Okay, well, I'm going to have to say that delinquency rates are definitely going to be an issue. Definitely an issue because got to pay them credit cards. Now, the worst it ever got, of course, is 6.7% back during the great financial crisis. And let's see, delinquency rate on credit cards. Back in 91, it was 5%. But back in 91, it was also, I don't even know what the percentage was back then. But single family residence mortgages, consumer loans, on all loans, delinquency rate on all loans. See, this is where it gets interesting because you got to be careful. Let's see. Let me see some more of these. Delinquency rate on credit card loans, banks not among the 100 largest by size and assets. Oh, okay. Now, what do we got here? Oh, we have a very different graph. Well, my goodness. Delinquency rate on credit card loans, banks not among the 100 largest in size by assets. Folks, this is the hidden number. And the hidden number shows that in 2008, the highest it ever got was 5.6%. In 2023, it hit 7.8%, and right now it's still at 6.6%, higher than it was at any time during the Great Financial Crisis or back in 2000 during the recession in 2000. The only time that it's been higher than it is right now was the first quarter of COVID. Wow. That is something else. Caterpillar stock. Why would Caterpillar stock be going wild? All right, let's see. Is Cat on my watch list? Uh, no, Cat is not on my watch list. All right, let's check out Cat. All right. Cat futures, Cat stock, Caterpillar. All right, now what do we got here? All right. $24, $25. Okay. So the highest it's been is 770. We're at 752. Back on the 26th. 26th, that's today. Oh, that's not 25. Oh shit, this. Oh, what am I on? Oh shit, I'm on a day. Okay. Ha, there you go. That helps. Boom. All right. Now hang on for a second. Yeah, I'm just seeing what we got here because I am kind of curious. All right, Cat's from 25. Let's see. This time last year we were at 362. We are at 750 something right now. 752. Well, that's substantial. Let's do 5-day. Let's go to the 5-day. Boom. All right, now let's zoom in on the 5-day. Come on, boys. Let's go. Jesus Christ. Graph is so slow. All right. It looks like we're doing really well. We're not up to a point where I'd say also pays a quarterly dividend. That's nice. Lots of construction going on in the world, huh, Cat? Oh, and I'm going to look at something here. News on Cat. Didn't Cat just destroy their work